Hey guys, Aiden here, back with another video. It's a long one, so let's get right into it. I don't think a lot of people know about the Eve Online Vanguard Q&A. It's about 40 minutes and answers a lot of questions people might have, so I decided to repost it here with some gameplay. Like I said, it's 40 minutes, so you might want to sit back and relax on this one. I do have my own things I would like to bring up about Vanguard, but that will be for another video, as this Q&A is already long enough. I would say, enjoy.
Q&A session with Eve Vanguard devs and our wonderful community, you guys. So hi, I am CCP Grendel. I will be less host, more compare for this session. We've received a bunch of questions in advance. For today's session, we're going to focus on the questions that we've received up front rather than taking stuff from chat. That might change for future sessions. But we've got so much in the bank now, it feels only appropriate to reward those individuals who got in touch with us in advance and got their queries through to us. So that's the plan for today. Joining me on the call, we have from the London studio, CCP Sneaky Snake. Say hello.
Hello, that's me. I'm Sneaky Snake.
We have CCP Joker.
Hello.
We have CCP V1P3X.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone going?
Not obviously pronounced like that. I'm CCP Delarge.
Hello.
And CCP Aegis.
Hello.
And then from our colleagues across the water in Reykjavik, we have CCP Ritati and CCP Berger, who I'm sure is familiar to all of you.
Hello, hello, hello.
And then we also have from Eve's ineffable, hardworking community team, CCP Zealous. Right, well, thanks, CCP Zealous. Okay, right, okay. Let's kick off with the first question. I think this is probably best handled by Ritati and Berger, but I think everybody's probably going to have some input on this. How soon after the first strike event do you anticipate another Eve Vanguard event? And this comes from Ripley Riley.
Yeah, I can jump on that. So first off, thank you, fantastic community for jumping on First Strike. The reception has been really good, and we're getting incredibly valuable feedback, data, all the things. So huge shout out to everyone. We've already started enacting on some of the feedback and some of the data points that we're getting, and fixing some quirky issues that have crept up. So already started seeing benefits of this test. We are hoping to do these, like we said at FanFest, we're hoping to do these tests more frequently. And right now, the next test we're looking at January. Not going to say exactly when, but in January, hopefully to have the next test in for Vanguard. But going forward, we wanna get your input, and the best way to get the input is actually have you play and see the kind of changes. Sometimes the changes might be obvious, sometimes they might not be as obvious. We might test something kind of behind the scenes, and all the times we might be testing prototype stuff that we will throw out or not.
Cool. Awesome. I just want to ask CCP Sneaky Snake, who's been on the London dev team a long time. What's it been like seeing the community in the inaugural Eve Vanguard event for you? What's been your emotional reaction?
That's a good question. It's honestly been amazing to see everyone. You never know quite how the reception is going to be, and we've worked on this game so hard. So it's been wonderful to see everybody's positive reactions and everybody getting into the game so much and playing it, and I don't know, it's been amazing.
Cool. Cool. Well, let's move on to the next one. Another one from Ripley Riley.
Before we get to that, George, I was going to say that was just an exclusive. We're doing another event in January. You heard it here first. So that is happening. We'll confirm dates near the time, but that's an exclusive. There you go. Next event in January.
Did I say something I wasn't supposed to say?
No, not at all. No,
not at all. I love it.
That's approved.
That's
all approved.
That's all.
There's no issues with that. So, what possible ways do you see Eve and Vanguard integrating further in the near future? And again, I think that's probably a Berger and Ratati question.
Ratati, you can start with this one.
Do I have to? Hello, do you hear me now?
Hey.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I covered it a bit on the stream yesterday, but obviously we are looking at kind of three main vectors. We're looking at what we call impactful connection, where the activities of the players, the Vanguard on planets, are affecting the kind of space above. And we already have an actual working link. You can see it in both of the in the message you get when you complete contracts, but also on the Eve side, you can see Vanguard impact on the insurgency. So they are the little people on the planets are actually doing something in the spaceship war during this event. So we're going to continue that, build that out. There's been a lot of conversation about actually helping the good guys. There's no good guys in Eve, but the kind of a little bit better guys, the Empires. And I can tell you the same thing I said yesterday. It's very easy now that we've kind of broken through the ice between the games to add more connections like these. Second of all, we want to talk about economy. How the economies connect. That is using the same kind of data pipeline, so we are not worried at all. It's just a matter of figuring it out. And we have very enthusiastic teams looking at that problem space. And very low-hanging fruit also. And to those who are worried about kind of having to play Vanguard or having the critical components, we're going to take baby steps in this. We're going to start introducing some kind of economic connection and steady the ship, add more, test the waters, etc. Closely also with the CSM. And finally, we want to be able to connect the social circles. We're going a bit different way right now. The world has moved a lot in the last 10 years since Dust Wars, where we connected the corporations directly in a database. This is not something that it would be considered smart in the world today. So we are working out how we want to do that. But first of all, I think it's easiest to tap into existing social. A lot of the Eve alliances, Eve corporations are using Discord. And I think we'll try to support players self-organizing on media like that, and then start building up our capability to actually have our current and new systems like core projects, etc., kind of work in our favor and be able to task each other, basically Vanguard to Eve or vice versa, through systems like those.
Very cool. I mean, that sounds very deep and a really great insight into the mechanics. I was just wondering also from the artistic side of view, from the looks as well as the feel. I was thinking that maybe CCP Joker or CCP Berger could speak to that. Like, what are the kind, in terms of linking Eve Online and Eve Vanguard, or integrating them in terms of how they look, and like where is your head at on that?
Yeah, if I maybe start with this one. So, of course, we have a dedicated team working on Vanguard, and it's not one-to-one to kind of art direct Eve the spaceship game and Eve the first-person shooter. So we have a really fantastic team on Vanguard looking at kind of the soundscape, the landscape, the art and kind of the touch and feel. But we make sure that there's a lot of conversation between kind of the two teams, or I don't want to call them two teams, but like there is a lot of conversation between the space game and the boots on the ground team. And I mean, CCP Joker has been here pretty long time. Him and CCP Koki are really good friends. They talk a lot. They share a lot of ideas and a lot of ideology when it comes to art and making art. So that's, of course, that kind of helps making consistency throughout. But I mean, I'm ultimately the creative director of both experiences, so that's also kind of in my core to make sure that there's consistency throughout. And I think we're proving with First Strike that there's it really feels, smells, tastes, and kind of it is Eve in many ways. And Joker can kind of maybe go a bit deeper into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, as Berger mentioned, me and Goggy talk all the time, as does the rest of the team. So we've got like 20 years worth of history to pull upon here. The archives for art span multiple projects. So we've got a very, very, very rich history to pick from, and as we said before, we're not reimagining them here. We're firmly anchored inside of it. So there's whole folders full of artwork that's never seen the light of day, that investigates incredible things inside of New Eden. And we're constantly kind of like, our jaws on the ground, looking at this sort of stuff and wondering how can we employ it. But that's kind of like, from very, very, very kind of like ambitious stuff all the way down to small things, such as weaponry, liveries, and how do we utilize those sorts of things in the game as well. So dust obviously is a very big pull for us. The brands inside of the game, we really want to kind of, and as well as the corporations and the factions, we really want to kind of like breathe a lot of life into those. So it's very important that we respect those identities that are already in there and try to bring them and leverage them and make them part of Vanguard, so that when you're picking up a weapon, you're seeing New Eden from a different perspective, but something that's a lot more tactile and something that's a lot more personal. You're actually holding this object.
Yeah, I think it's important to retain some kind of core DNA, but there are endless stories in New Eden that are yet to be told, and there are endless, there isn't necessarily one true kind of art. It's easy to expand, and like Eve today, it still kind of retains that core DNA as it did 20 years ago, but it's a much better looking game, and it's a much more way better visceral experience. So yeah, good excuse to push the boundaries.
Awesome. So I mean, you talk about pulling from multiple different titles within the Eve universe, and we have as our next question a hark back, and certainly not the only one, to our prior multiplayer FPS, Dust 514. KCLP asks, can we expect to see as complex a fitting system as as Dust 514 in Eve Vanguard? And I think Ratati, that's got to go to you.
100% is that authentic to have an extensive, I would say, optimization game, and that's absolutely something that we want to build out. The most important thing is to build out all of the basic systems that make up an authentic Eve experience, and then start talking about the all the modules and all the options, because they are, when you play through this game, for example, you can see everywhere where you are saying, oh, I'd love to be able to do this or that. These are the kind of natural hooks of the game and will be the anchors of all progression. So you have the industry blueprint progression. You have the, you've seen the ammo and how that could progress, updating and changing your weapon, not even going into any suit progression, etc. All of these are options. We just need to be very strategic on which ones we fill out, in which order, how deep to kind of prove out the concept, and then I think the scaling that, adding content, adding more NPCs, adding more weapons will become infinitely easier and infinitely more exciting to actually work on, rather than to kind of get a new hero with some fixed stats and then you just have to learn that, and then it's kind of hit that content treadmill, which many live ops games kind of run into. And then you kind of lose your creativity, you lose your emergent gameplay, and all you're doing is just waiting for the next expansion. So we're really thinking about how we're going to kind of build these systems out, and all of them, I would say, are on the table. Just it's a matter of when.
Nice, very cool. Well, I mean, that certainly gives everybody a lot to look forward to. Let's move on to the next one. So from Nohus. Will the First Strike event feature progression that we will get to keep for later? Or is this event a one-time test and we will start from scratch when Vanguard becomes available later? Or I suppose what would be more accurate to say, will the community be starting from scratch in the next play event, which has already been confirmed on this call for January? Let's hand that over to Italian Burger again, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I can take this one. Yeah, we will most definitely be resetting. Like this is very much a founder's access very early on, and there are things that are, we can do a bit more testing. We are though in active conversation about persistence and kind of when and how we will add proper persistent into the tests. But for this initial test, we will most likely be doing some resetting of things.
Yeah, and thematically, it makes sense. The deathless are learning, so like just assume all your clones were killed yesterday, and you're gonna get new ones today. Joking aside, this is obviously founders access. Don't go into this journey with us with the expectation that we're kind of building up inventory of things to claim. This is way more about the having the ability to give feedback, build up, and kind of be a part of the experience.
Awesome. I mean, what would you say?
However, there will be interesting rewards on the way. So yes. Like less progression, but more like rewards, etc. Like the insanely cool capsule for this event, and we have opportunities to give out both Eve rewards and eventually Vanguard rewards.
And I mean, we've already started seeing kind of communities form and old dust groups playing together and so I mean that's the friendship. We can't delete the friendship. Oh,
the friends have been made along the way. I know that all the developers on this call have probably different things that they're looking to get out of the First Strike playtest. It'd be interesting to hear from everybody in turn on the key bits of feedback that they're looking for the community to provide. But Burger and Ratati, what would you say are your key goals or objectives, in terms of learnings from First Strike?
So for me, it's the look and feel, like the feel of the gun, feel of this core gun, feel of the movement, the sound, and the visuals, definitely. And then it's also, of course, just getting to getting the team to deploy for the first time. And I think that's a super important thing.
I'm just very happy that the server is held, and we just looked at the CCU kind of increase, and then it just nothing went wrong on the stability side, which is kind of the most important thing at this actual moment, and then just kind of start lighting the fire of reactivation, getting all those players back, getting the message across. Expectation management on the Dust 5-4 veterans, that it's not going to be a literal Dust clone, but as a hardcore Dust player, I know what or I feel I represent, at least like what the soul and the essence of what made Dust like that exciting and kind of made it so important to us Dust players. It's the social, it's the depth, it's the impact, it's being a bigger world rather than like literally being vehicles or like which objectives we were fighting over. So I think we'll get there. So just getting the message out, servers worked, the world is beautiful, shooting experience is solid. It's just to showcase our like where we are and where we want to go.
Okay. Let's hear from some of the guys in London as well. Let's start off with CCP Joker. What are your key goals and objectives for learnings and feedback from First Strike?
Very much in line with Berger there about the look and the feel of Vanguard, and are we actually hitting the vibe? Are we? And you guys, the community, you're the ones that really hold the key to this. And I'm more interested, as well as most of the team, in hearing what you don't like rather than what you do. It's the stuff that we're doing well is kind of like, it's nice to hear about, but we really want to fix the things where people don't feel like we're connecting. So that's critical information for us, because ultimately, we're part of one team and one universe, right? So everything needs to feel cohesive in this thing, and therefore this, look and feel and emotion, how you emotionally connect with these things is super important to us.
Awesome. CCP Vipex. As someone who sits literally right next to CCP Joker, are your goals and objectives in line with his, or have you got something a different angle?
I think it's a really good point about hearing exactly like what the players are not connecting with, and maybe what we can improve on. Because when we're looking at creating the maps and the environment for the gameplay, it's how can we up our game on the next thing that we're doing. How can we make whatever it is that's not working better? So I think it kind of gives us a good idea of what it is we need to include for the next thing that we do. And that obviously comes to the community and kind of telling us what you don't like, and that kind of really helps us kind of decide what is our kind of next objective.
Nice. Over to you, CCP Sneaky Snake.
Hello. Yes, I'm also in the art department. I'm a tech artist, so for us, it really is important to build the tools that lets us build the worlds, and so the idea that the community that's playing the game feels like this is a representative Eve experience is crucial to us, because we need to build this beautiful Eve Online universe. And I personally want to build as much of it as possible. So it's really important to see what you guys think.
Awesome. CCP Aegis. What are you most looking out for in terms of feedback?
Hey, so it's very much in line with everything else that people have said, but from an audio perspective, I guess. So, are you enjoying the sound design of the game? Do you feel like it feels like Eve? Does it do something to you emotionally? But also, on the more constructive feedback side of things, it's kind of like I'm very interested in things that potentially are enhancing gameplay or hindering it. So, like, footstep mix and distance of footsteps and firing and stuff that is potentially very tied into gameplay that can improve, right? And then, different people playing with different headsets and audio setups, that all comes into play as well. But yeah, I think audio tied into gameplay is something that is quite good to get feedback on.
And I was building up to this. CCP Demiurge, since you've got one of the more mysterious roles involved in Vanguard, I'm curious. Like, what are you looking out for as part of First Strike? Given the internal presentation that you delivered right now, that is like fizzing away in my brain and probably isn't going to be reaching the community in terms of their actual touch point on it for like half a year or something like that.
So, I guess what I'm looking for with this, I'm enjoying seeing what people think of the story that's been sort of built up so far between that bowhead crashing, but also tiny little bits and pieces of information that are being dropped here and there. And, seeing what people think of that, seeing what people think it's going to lead to, and, seeing through the event, I guess, what the Deathless and his associates think of the Vanguard from what they achieve here. So, lots of potential.
Wonderful. I mean, I do think you've got a really cool job at the moment, because you're basically, you get to tease people professionally. It's very cool. And then last, but by no means least, I'll put you guys together. CCP Demiurge and CCP Emerald as our ineffable brand team. What feedback and impressions are you most looking for coming out of First Strike? What are you testing for as part of this test?
Do you want to start, Delarge?
After you.
Yeah, I think for us, we're just excited to see, similarly to the team, how players are, what they're enjoying, what can be improved upon. How can we sort of, when we look at bringing Vanguard live all the time at some point, how can we sort of connect with you through the story and through the messaging and through the all the art and stuff that we create to connect with players. Like what do we lean into? So I think we're really excited to see what you're connecting with in the game right now, so we can
Delarge.
Hello. First of all, it's just amazing to see people playing it, right? I've just been watching a lot of streams, listening, learning, and I think that's the main thing here, right? We're just learning all the time. We're in a period of really, really learning how people are finding Eve Vanguard, and that in itself is really exciting. I don't, there's nothing specific. There's loads of little things that will creep up that we won't realize. There's a lot of stuff we expect. And it's about helping to hone that. And I think, Emily sort of touched on that. It's kind of understanding how players are engaging with the stories they're creating. I think that's really exciting for me.
Well, I also have my own angle on this. So the thing I'm testing for at the moment is expectation management. Are we doing a good enough job of making sure that when Eve community come in to play Vanguard, that what they're expecting to play is what we're actually delivering? Is our communications around what we're delivering right now aligned with their expectations? And I'd say that there is, I'd say that there is still some work there that needs to be done on my end. But so far it's I wouldn't call it a washout, put it that way. Right, okay. And so I've seen a lot of questions come through in the chat. As I said at the top of the call, for those who weren't here at the start, we are looking to just focus on some of the questions that we've received in advance for this call. We are definitely planning on doing more of these AMAs, and I think in future sessions we'll probably lean towards taking stuff from chat. But I think just for this particular one, we're going to focus on getting the stuff that we got up front and reward those people who managed to reach out to us early. So let's move on to the next question, which is a really interesting one from Jadek. What is the scope of accessibility support for Vanguard First Strike and potential roadmap on that, e.g. native control support, key binding changes, colorblind modes, and sound direction indicators? Over to you, Berger and Ratati.
I can take the input. So I think we are, as with everything, we're trying to have the smallest technical test possible. So we've chosen not to bring some of these things into into this release, and kind of hear from people how to, like, what to prioritize, try to kind of get that information. If we talk simply about input mechanic, I think it'd be we have to build out localization, we have to build out different input, like controller support. That doesn't even mean controller support as in full aim assist, but I would like to be able to kind of let people hack their Xbox controllers as many games, like, kind of not allow, but people are able to do it. So we can actually play it without MKB. Localization is a completely thing. We obviously have to build it out. Eve is localized in eFix and more. So I think we need to follow there. Berger may definitely know more about the kind of UI coloring, all that stuff. So, but generally, like, all of these things are on a roadmap, or at least considered for a roadmap, but not in the now or soon, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing goes for a lot of the like audio cues and UI colors and stuff. Like, we want to get it to parity with what Eve does, and we're always trying to, like, push a bit further. So to start with, let's start testing the core, and then when you have a strong foundation, build on top of it. Otherwise, you will just be kind of, we don't want to fall into a polish a turd kind of a situation.
We'll be building on shit, on wet shit.
Oy.
No, but I think that's right, and I mean, everything about this is, what people see today are merely the foundations of something much larger, and the vision, currently is probably greater than the playable touch point that people have today. This is by no means, the launch of First Strike is by no means the end of any kind of road. It's right at the beginning. Right. Okay. Let's move on. So, who's also followed up with another question: is the gameplay going to be limited to a particular squad size?
So right now we're in kind of squads of 3, and that's kind of for this test. This is something that we're actively talking about, like how we will actually kind of go about this. Like, we have the concept of fleets in Eve, and fleets are a very fluid paradigm, and there's something quite romantic about that. But at the same time, it can be daunting to kind of, if everyone squats up in the session, what will the session be? So this is a very active conversation right now.
Awesome. I think this one is probably my favorite question we've had so far. So, Ime Omiris, apologies if I butchered the pronunciation of that. Should we expect to see vehicles in Eve Vanguard in the future?
It's just how far you want to. We have only one answer to all of these. Like, almost everything that you can come up with sounds good and could be done. It's just a prioritization aspect. I would like to see, personally, in a fever dream, I can play Dust again. with the same, because basically we're creating a shooting experience. Then we just control the squad sizes and what the objectives are. There's very little difference between a conquest game mode and this thing that you were playing yesterday, or a free-for-all with pistols. These are all just rules and games mode. They can be set up in Unreal, with a little work, theoretically. It's just what is the best thing to do first and build on. And I think vehicles are not the best thing to build out. I think it would kind of diffuse our focus. It would spread us too thin, and vehicles would be great to bring in a matter of years, not in a matter of months.
So what I'm hearing is you haven't ruled out a melee only, slaps only mode.
So very few things are ruled out. The only thing that would be cat ears.
Got it. Okay, so one thing we can confirm for sure. Awesome.
Wow,
big heads on flappers only, exactly. Right, okay. One thing that is probably best picked up by CCP Emerald and CCP Demiurge. When will CCP Shortfall be recognized as Vanguard's official community representative from Ripley Riley?
Okay. So never is the short answer to that, but Shortfall is obviously one of our most awesome people in the dev team who's done played an incredible role within the community thus far, especially with the Dust Vets. He's well known, well recognized and loved, and we obviously we love him too. But yeah, we will. We have an existing amazing community team already. Watch this space for future developments. But we like to support devs talking to the player base. I think it's really important to have two-way conversations and that engagement, and we'll support that as far as possible. But yeah, there's also community management has specific roles, and Kurt has a day job.
I think as someone says, Shortfall, the hero we need, as marvelous as Shortfall is with the community, he's even more marvelous on back end. So that's where his considerable skills are best focused. No, go. Someone's about to talk over me. No, okay, fair enough. Ripley Riley, another one from him or her or them. Are corporations/alliances being given a low, medium, or high priority in the near-term development of Vanguard? Ratati.
I mentioned a little bit on it. We're not trying to create corporations right now, because we want to see how social bonds start to form through, and how naturally. What we will need is some kind of clans eventually, and I think what we are very interested in is the social dynamic between Vanguard players who are not necessarily connected to the kind of corporation structure or understand much about New Eden, but they would be super willing to kind of build that bridge, kind of what happened organically with Dust. Players discovered Eve through Dust, to try to open the door in a kind of more direct way. And one of the interesting conversations we've been having in the last couple of months is, we introduced the enlistment system for pirates on the Eve side. That's kind of like a cool idea to think about it. Could you start enlisting with a player corporation, kind of earn your place a bit, kind of, because it's very interesting from a power dynamic. Capsuleers are almost godlike or are godlike, and humans on planets are not. They're the polar opposite. So it's kind of like going to the King of England as a, hey, can I get a job here? Can I be a part of this cool thing? Or like a mafia. if you want to earn your way into it. So I think enlistment and corp jobs and all these things are where our mind is at the moment.
Awesome. Well, I'm afraid, everybody, that we're up against time. We've barely scratched the surface of all the questions that we've received, let alone covered the ones that we've received on chat. I think the main thing that we'd like to say at this point is twofold. One, we'd love to do this again and share some more of our thoughts in response to your questions. And the second is to quote CCP Demiurge, let's wrap this before we say something else that we shouldn't. So thanks very much, everybody, for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you throughout First Strike, throughout the remainder of the live event, and also then again inviting you back for a further live event, further test in January. In the meantime, please try to go easy on CCP Shortfall. He's just one man. Thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Go enjoy playing Vanguard.